Well, hello there. Hope you're having a fantastic day. This is JC Bernal, your business growth coach, and the Business Growth Attitude Show. It's all about helping you, the business owner, adopt a business growth attitude to develop, advance, expand, and see the opportunity and potential in every single moment. A business growth attitude will position your business, its brand, and its people for growth, profit, and success. And without further ado, let's get to today's episode. Hello and welcome. So glad you have joined me in this business growth attitude journey. In this episode, let's talk a little bit about time. I know, you don't have time right now. That seems to be going around a lot. Time scarcity. Don't you just wish you had all the time in the world? And the reason that that's true is because you are living in time scarcity. We don't need to wish for more. We are satisfied, we're fulfilled with that. But the reason that we want it, if we don't have it, reason we're looking for more time and we wish we had all the time in the world is because having all the time in the world gives you that sense of peace, that sense that you can accomplish everything that you want. It's that sensation of fulfillment because you know you're going to get to the most important things, the things that matter to you, the things that really are important. You're going to get around to them because there's plenty of time to get to them. It's funny because I ask my clients, I ask them a lot, what would you do if you had all the time in the world? And they'll come back with priorities. They'll come back with saying, I probably would leave early today and spend time with the family. I would probably leave early and go to the kids' games. Or I would get those 3 tasks that I've been postponing and it doesn't seem like I have enough time to get around to them. And they're important and I want to get to them. And it seems like I never get to them. If I had all the time in the world, I would probably just start by doing that. I would take a vacation. I would go home and rest. And it's funny because all these things are things that are very important, and yet they're postponing it. They're not taking advantage of the fact that there is an abundance amount of time, and they could actually do that. They could actually go home and spend time with the kids and spend time with the family, and they could get to those tasks that they've been postponing and finish them once and for all, and move the company towards where they want to, or move that project forward to where they want to get to. And it seems like it never comes around because we have this idea that there is no time, that there is time scarcity. And this time scarcity idea leads to stress, leads to unproductivity. It's impressive how unproductive we become when we don't think we have enough time. It overwhelms us. It overwhelms us to the point that a lot of people get sick because they have this pressure, the stressors that are keeping them on going at 100 miles an hour without being able to stop, because they do, then they miss out on time. It's like, I remember when I was young, still living at home, my dad would always scream at us for leaving the door open. He would say, close the door, the air conditioner is going to leave, And it's with time is that same sensation. We want to shut the door. If we could only shut the door so the time won't leave, so the time doesn't run out, right? And we could get to those things that we really want to get to. And we don't realize how much is affecting our company, how much is affecting our bottom line. And that's the reason it's not a business growth attitude. Scarcity in any form, especially in the time we want to live in abundance. That's a business growth attitude, is to have an abundance amount of time all the time, is to live with that sensation. It is to be able to enjoy and feel fulfilled because we have enough time. Now, don't get me wrong. I think time is a very helpful friend. It's a fantastic tool. We live in a physical world where time is impressive how it helps us. Time is a helpful friend that keeps us on track to meet deadlines, show up on time to events mm, that are important in our life. It helps us to prioritize, to accomplish our goals, uh, to meet our objectives, right? But just imagine a world without time. It would be so chaotic. Even the simplest things, I'll get it to you as soon as I'm done. Even that phrase, that could leave you feeling very uneasy. Are you gonna get it to me today? Is it next week? Is next year? Is 5 years from now? You know, we could be get very anxious because we don't know that time that helps us so much to be able to plan and predict exactly how we want things to end up. I'll meet you for lunch. Even that gives us an idea of around what time we're going to meet. But is it 11? Is it at 12? Is it at 1 or 2? We could actually miss things that are important to us if we didn't have time. I'm going to the dentist. Imagine an employee showing up to you and saying, I'm going to the dentist. Are you going right now? Are you going this week? Are you taking a day off? Are you going during your vacation time? Uh, in other words, time seems to be very useful uh, for specific things, for important things. Pick up the kids at school today. When after school? Are they getting out earlier? Are they getting out at the same time? That sensation, even for the kids, they know that dad's going to show up at 4 to pick us up. And when 4 comes around, you feel good. You feel that sensation, dad's about to show up, right? And even when we create goals, if you notice, you create goals, and if there is no time associated with them, it's very meaningless. I want to increase X percent of growth of the company. Oh, is that going to be in a week, in a year, 5 years? So time is a very useful tool, very useful friend that accompanies us all the time. Uh, and we only feel the stress and the overwhelm when it comes to time is when we think there is not enough of it, when we have that scarcity mentality towards time. And because when that happens, then we become very stingy with time. We don't allow ourselves to spend time freely on the things we love and the things we want to do. We don't treat people, we treat people with haste and in a hurry, and we live in this society that everybody's running around. And if you noticed, it's very common for people to get complimented because they're stressed out and they don't have time. Well, that's a very productive person. It's almost like a given. Somebody that leaves early to go spend time with a family, it's even frowned upon. And no wonder we're living in stress because we don't have time. We want to create more time so we could, satisfy the boss or the, colleagues or even the employees, because there are some business owners that would not, they don't leave work until the last employee has left because they're the owner, and so they're wishing there was more time so that they could actually get home at a reasonable hour and spend time with the family. But it never seems to happen because there is time scarcity. Um, we can all agree that time is a fantastic tool, a good friend that keeps us accountable to showing up, delivering, and help us meet our goals and objectives. But the opposite can be true as well. It can be our competitor, a thief that is running away with our lives, a limited resource and a tyrant that keeps us slaving away in order to succeed, right? And we find ourselves switching from these two perspectives. One, that useful friend that accompanies us everywhere, and the other one, that tyrant that's stealing my life away and it's running away from me, and I can't seem to catch up with it. So let's talk a little bit about that perception of time, how it can help us stay focused, productive, while leaving out the overwhelm and the stress that are so unnecessary to succeed in life and in business. We have equated the rush and the running and the pushing and this obsessive sensation that we have to uh, work longer hours and work faster and do the things with success. And it's totally the opposite. People that I have met that can enjoy work and relax, and they seem to have this abundance of time. They never seem to be in a rush to do anything. They do everything when it has to be done. They accomplish their goals, they accomplish their objectives. They seem to have time for the family. I remember a client I had in one of the big four, a partner at the big four. So these people work, oh, horrible hours. I mean, 80 hours a week is what's expected of them. But it was funny because this guy wasn't in that rush. Wasn't He didn't seem to live in that way. He had time for the family. Remember, he took vacations often with the whole family. He served at church in a ministry that he loved, and he regularly participated. And yet he was very successful at what he did. And I'll never forget when I asked him, how come you have this abundance amount of time, and yet all the colleagues that work with me in your firm, they're totally the opposite. It seems like time scarcity is what's going around. It seems like some sort of infirmity that everyone's caught. And the answer he gave me just blew me out of the water, because he said, JC, the reality is that I've come to the realization that I don't do open heart surgeries for kids. That's how he took his work, and he was fantastic at what he did. He gave some incredible results for all his clients, but yet, just having that perspective, I could understand that he didn't rush into anything. Nobody was going to die if he didn't rush, if he didn't finish things in the next 5 minutes or turns things over into. So he put things into perspective. But it was funny because in working with him, one of the things I realized that he prioritized so well that many times he didn't answer my phone, he didn't answer my emails, he didn't. If he had to cancel a session, he wouldn't have a problem just letting me know that something more important came up and he had to cancel. He wasn't the type of guy that wanted to do everything. No, he knew what was priority and what things needed to be done. So he lived in this time abundance because of that. He didn't answer everybody's phone. He didn't answer everybody's email. He didn't answer everybody's text. He wasn't there to please people. He was more interested in pleasing his family and pleasing his God and serving and doing the things that he loved. That didn't take anything away from how productive he was at work. And the service he provided was incredible. And he kept being promoted from position to position to the point he was partner, and now he was being considered to, run a division within the firm, because once again he was so productive and gave so fantastic results that people wanted to imitate him. But what I found was that nobody imitated him in this time abundance sensation, and where he didn't feel like he needed to rush and do things. He did things in the time he needed to do them. He was very productive when he was work, and when he wasn't working, he wasn't working. And he was very productive being a father, very productive being a servant, being productive being a husband, being very productive when he went in vacation and spending and enjoying and being fulfilled doing those things. And that showed me a lot. That he really taught me a lesson on the idea of time abundance. Stephen Covey in the 7 Habits book speaks about this scarcity mentality that is going around. He calls it the zero-sum paradigm of life. Zero-sum paradigm of life. It's this idea that there's not enough to go around. the idea that the pie, it can finish. So the 24-hour pie is finishing, and I'm getting to the last bite, and I need to, rush to it and get it done because it's, you know, it's going to leave us. It's going to affect us, right? And the first thing we must acknowledge is that most of us have this scarcity attitude towards time. That it's not something that's just the high performers or underperformers for that matter. There's no specific type of people. I think we all fall into the time scarcity at some point. And we just need to realize when that happens. And we realize that with our vocabulary. When we have a vocabulary that speaks about, I don't have enough time for that. There's just not enough time. I'm running out of time, and this is such a waste of time. I need to find the time. Really, if we really look at these phrases as I was thinking about them, every time I say one of these phrases, it really makes me laugh because, I really need to find time, like if it was lost under a bed or something. I wish I had more time. It was a question I started out with. It was always this sensation that, yeah, there is time scarcity. Because if any of these things, if we're saying any of these things, if we're thinking any of these things, there is time scarcity in our life. And it's not allowing us to be fulfilled, to live a fulfilled life. It's not allowing us to be happy. It's not allowing us to work without stress or without the overwhelm. We're adding more stress and more overwhelm just by the fact that we think there's not enough time. And so we need to do that reality check because you have time abundance. This is not something that you need to create. Just the thought that you need to create it is because you're living in scarcity. So you feel like you need to create the time abundance. So we try to get the best time management tools so that we become very efficient. But the reality is that we don't need anything external to have time abundance. Time abundance is a perception. It's a perception that we have because if we try to look outside of ourselves for that time abundance, we're going to run out of time looking for that time abundance, if that makes sense, So how do we do that? Well, first of all, is like I've spoken about in past episodes, is the self-talk. A lot of the self-talk needs to change so that our attitude changes. We tend to overestimate what we can accomplish in 1 day or 1 week, and underestimate what we can accomplish in a month, in a quarter, in a year. So the idea of having a good perspective on what could be accomplished and by when helps us with that time abundance. Because if we think that we don't have enough time to accomplish what we want, that makes us feel like we're cheated, like somebody took some time away from me. Why can't I have some more time to accomplish that? But it starts with having the right perception. I think something can be finished in 1 hour, and in reality it takes 4 or 5 hours. But imagine how cheated you could feel when you're not done and you're still working 5 hours after you thought you were supposed to be done. So now that's the phrase that comes to mind is, oh, the waste of time. I wasted all that time. And the fact is that it's not the waste of time, it's more the erroneous perception of how long something should take or will take. And if we don't catch ourselves, then we fall into the self-talk. How could you have done that? How could you still be working on that? I get that a lot. I'm not the fastest person at doing anything. I think I tend to do things slower. It's just because of my character and my personality. So I get a lot of, you only got an hour to do that, and you got to finish, uh, and it can put me into that time scarcity mentality, unless I say, no, I'm going to take the time it requires. And if it's requiring 1 hour and I could be productive in finishing 1 hour, great. But if it requires 2 hours or 3 hours or whatever, then I'm going to do that, because I live in that time abundance, or I try living in that time abundance, uh, without being disrespectful, without, I don't show up late to places, I don't disrespect other people's time either. But I don't allow for people to put me in a uh, scarcity type of mentality so that I could be more productive. No, because it's never worked. It usually not, not just me, but we all get less productive when we're working, uh, with that sensation of stress and overwhelm, because we don't think clearly. It drains our energy. We're not as effective or as productive. Uh, Multitasking is another one that I see a lot. Is people, in order to accomplish more in the same amount of time, they think they can do that by multitasking. And multitasking is a symptom of time scarcity. We don't have the priorities set right, so we want to do everything at the same time so that we can save some time, as if time could be saved, right? And at the end, what we end up is, with work that's not of high quality, and we end up doing it again, and uh, that's where we end up spending more time than we originally thought by trying to do more than one thing at a time. The reality is, none of us are multitaskers. That's been proven. People are more effective when they concentrate on one thing and finish that one thing and then start working on the other. These are all sorts of studies have been done in the different universities regarding this. And the fact is, multitasking doesn't make you more effective. It makes you less effective. Therefore, you're not going to accomplish more. You're going to accomplish less in the same amount of time. And once again, it's just a reflection of the time scarcity mentality. I want to do three things at the same time, because I don't have enough time. So I need to do everything at the same time. Um, the other thing that can help us with the time abundance is to be grateful. Be grateful helps in so many areas, right? And in the time scarcity mentality, it's fantastic what it does, because when we're grateful for the time we have, when we're grateful for the day that's been given to us, that we can use however we want, when we are grateful that we have, for instance, a deadline. And if we are grateful that deadline is coming up so that we can be done with whatever it is that we need to be done, and we're grateful, our attitude changes completely. It erases that sensation of I don't have enough time to the sensation of I have plenty of time. I have all the time that I need, right? The other one is to share your time. We don't share our time, like I said before, because we become stingy when we're living in time scarcity. And when we share our time, what we're saying is, I have plenty of time. I have an abundance of time. Therefore, I can share it. I can give freely. I can help. That was, like I was telling you before, that partner that in one of the big fours, where he helped a church. He gave of his free time. He had a men's group that he went to, and he went camping with him. He spent time with them, and he helped in different aspects in church. And giving away his time was another way of expressing the time abundance that he lived in. And it helps us to realize that, just by sharing our time and being grateful for the time we have, it's going to help us to see time in a different way. It's going to be able to realize that we do have time abundance. Uh, and one thing that I would recommend is staying away from contributing to the busy and in a hurry culture that we live in. This mindset is contagious, and if we fall into it, then we're going to get others also with this mindset of scarcity, where everything has to be in a rush and everything has to be in a hurry. And even I remember going to uh, vacations with another family, and we were at Disney World, and we we had small children at the time. And when we got back, the father of the other family, he goes, "Isn't that fantastic? We're back at 3 in the hotel and we saw the whole park." And for me, it was like, geez, I thought the idea was to enjoy the park, not finish it, in a certain amount of time. But we live in such a rush that even in vacations, we want to do it in a rush. And I would always kid with this guy, and this friend of mine, I would always kid with him and tell him, You're the type of guy that gets the 24-hour virus in 4 hours, because he was always in this rush to finish things. But you could tell he didn't really enjoy anything. He kept jumping from one thing to the other and never paused to enjoy the part of the life that he was living. Um, it, Seeing the time constraints that we have as opportunity is another way of appreciating and enjoying your time abundance. Just the fact that we have certain amount of time to finish a task or to deliver a service or to do something specific, if we would approach it as an opportunity to become more productive, an opportunity to learn to focus, an opportunity to stop being perfectionist, an opportunity to deliver the best of ourselves in the shortest amount of time. It presents such a vast amount of opportunities that we can concentrate on instead of concentrating on or putting our focus on the lack of time that we have to finish something or to deliver something, right? Um, Something that people that have time abundance do a lot is they spend time planning. Since they have such vast amount of time in their hands, in other words, they have time abundance, they actually separate time for planning. Most of us don't plan because we don't have enough time. We're rushing into work. We're getting to the next thing we need to do. So we never stop and plan. And what's funny is that these people that actually take time and plan finish things first. They finish it better. They have more consistency with the things they finish. They finish a better product, more complete product, and it's not that it took them, now they spend the same amount of time as we did plus the amount of time of planning. No, they do it a lot quicker because of the planning. Uh, the the other thing is we don't take breaks, we don't restore our energy, and therefore, we become sluggish, we become unproductive. Uh, there's been so many studies done recently with how, especially in the US, so many people are missing lunch. They're skipping lunch. They're taking breaks at their desk. They're not getting up and taking breaks. And productivity goes down. And when productivity goes down, then things take longer to get done. And now I don't have enough time to do it. And therefore, I don't take a break. And this becomes this vicious cycle of not taking a break, not being productive. Therefore, it takes me more time. Therefore, I need to do it. I don't have enough time to take a break. And that continuous circle, that vicious circles that we create, if we broke it, if we just break them, imagine coming back with clarity, refocused, refreshed, being able to do things in a more effective manner, be able to deliver better product or better service because we are refreshed. We have taken that time to clear our heads and to become more productive. And it's not the idea of stopping working and then staying at the desk. It's actually taking the practice of leaving the desk, doing something different, but just disconnect. That disconnect is what's going to help you to be more productive and be able to produce more. Uh, Create the priorities. Like I said before, if you ask yourself, if I had all the time in the world, what would I do right now? That first thing that comes to mind is probably a top priority that you're going to get to. So get to it. Make a list of priorities and then ask yourself, is in any of this list, can I delegate something? Can I automate any of these things? And finally, can I just delete some of these things? Because even if I don't do them, nothing's going to happen, so that we can really prioritize. We tend to think that everything is important. And when we think everything is important, then nothing is important. And then we want to finish everything that's not important. And obviously, we don't have enough time, once again, that lack of that scarcity to do everything. Organize your environment. We become so effective when we don't have to be looking for stuff, when things are not right at our fingertips, or when we need to get up a zillion times and ask a zillion questions and get other people involved and interrupt other people just because our environment is not organized, because we don't have what we need readily available in order to produce the results that we need to. And yes, use some time tools that will help you prioritize. Schedule time with yourself. Schedule time to do certain tasks that you need to do. Put it in the calendar. Do the things that any tool management that time management that would help you. Definitely use it if that gives you a sensation of realizing that you have an abundance amount of time and you want to use it in a proper way. Create a not to-do list. We always create to-do list. I learned this from Dean Graziosi, who says, if you were to do a not to-do list, what are the things that I want to do anymore? What are the things that I can get off my plate and never, ever do again, right? And if we do this often enough, we'll find out that we're doing so many things. The first list I did like this, I was surprised at how much I did that I didn't want to do, that I could have somebody else do, or could I just stop doing and nothing would happen, or that I could automate it and not be able to do it. But if we don't create that not to-do list first, then we continue to work for other people, and then we complain that we don't have enough time. We don't live in time abundance because we're not prioritizing, we're not doing what we're supposed to. And at the end of the day, take a look, consider doing this exercise every day of finding out what 5 things was fantastic today. What 5 things I really am proud of that I got accomplished, and why was it great? Why was it fantastic? And question yourself so that you don't feel like at the end of the day you didn't accomplish anything. And this is true in any area of your life. When we look back and look for the good stuff, we're going to find it. The thing is that we beat up ourselves all the time, and we never get to that point where we feel comfortable with what we've done. We have always this sensation. We go home, we have this sensation that we didn't accomplish anything. So take 20 minutes every day and figure out what was fantastic about 5 things that were fantastic today, that I did today. And what are 5 things that I want to do that are fantastic tomorrow? What do I want to repeat? And what do I want to avoid? What I don't want to do? What was a big, wasn't worth doing that I did anyway? And when we do this, we find that all of a sudden there's more time to do more things. We fall into this time abundance mentality where we can appreciate life more. We feel more fulfilled, because when we have time abundance, we feel we'll find we are less stressed, less overwhelmed, fulfilled. And when we live in time scarcity, we're always rushing through life, stressed, overwhelmed, and missing out when we can be enjoying life to its fullest. So remember, The business growth attitude is an attitude of abundance in all areas, including that of time. So change your attitude, change your life, and we'll see you in the next episode. Thank you for stopping by. I'm so glad you decided to be in this journey with me. I would ask you to rate and review the podcast. That really helps. And also visit businessgrowthattitude.com, where you can find resources, especially the free strategy sessions for those of you that are growing your company or have reached a plateau and want to break through that and get to the next level of growth. Take the free strategy session. Let's work together. Let's get you growing your business. Talk to you soon, and we'll see you in the next episode.